guys, Jen here. So let's talk about towers for a moment. And if there are a few awkward pauses, I apologize. I'm still working on getting an editor that works properly and puts the pictures in the order that I want to show them. This is Kevin Bacon in a movie called You Should Have Left. In it, he haunts himself. He is his own ghost. There is some type of teleportation happening. I don't want to spoil it, but he's also told a story that in Welsh fairy tales, it was said that the devil would capture the souls of human beings and keep them locked away in towers. And so if we move along to fairy tales, we know that princesses were oftentimes kept in towers. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. That is where they were kept until the prince would come and rescue them. Here is another older tower, part of a church, an old church, and you also have old clock towers as well. But let's move a little more into our current times, shall we? Quickly, here is a clock tower, a bell tower that I found as well, with the arches, part of a foundational building at one time, and now the tower is preserved. Then we move along to the biblical tale of the Tower of Babel, where men had come together and were speaking one language that everyone understood, and they built a tower up into the heavens. However, it is said that this was going against God. Man had started to idolize himself, and he had no authority above himself. When that happens, there are no standards or guidelines. Yes, we are sovereign, but at the same time there is a hierarchy. This requires balance to not become self-centered and narcissistic or self-loathing. Now, if we move a little more into current times, you'll see in front of you an electricity tower. It is, one of the names for it is a transmission tower. You'll see they're often in fields that have been plowed on the sides of trails. In bigger cities, they are often confined to smaller areas and they are all together. But I want you to look at the shapes here. Let's look at a couple more images. Here's a diagram of a tower, and it gives you the names: cross arms, insulator string, conductor, bundle. Reminds me of a Tesla coil. You even have a tower window that's very clear and nothing is coming through of it. The waist, which it does kind of look like a giant man. And let's go a little further, shall we? So I wonder, do you see it? Do you see all the shapes? I bet if you pulled up sigils, you'd find several seals and sigils in here. I did not want to be this video to be too long, so for that purpose I did not grab more diagrams, but there are plenty to choose from. Come a little more into modern times, and this is an old school computer tower. And on the inside is where you have the guts, or the organs, the motor, the engine, the transmission, the systems that keep it running. So let's take a deeper look. This is the inside of a tower, where it tells you where the memory cards are and the fans to keep it cool. And you also have a motherboard. That's going to come into play in the next video, so keep that in the back of your mind. I thought this was very interesting and suitable for the purposes of this video. It relates the guts in a tower to your internal system to let you know how it works. So you have the stomach up there, sweat glands, the brain, the memory, the mouth, and the nerves and the blood vessels. Again, we're looking at different types of towers. Here you have a cell phone tower. Many of them are built differently because you have the ones that receive transmissions, the one that sends transmissions, and the ones who store things on a cloud. That's actually where your voicemails are stored. They're not in the phone. They are in a cloud. And if we move over a little bit, we can see the top of the tower. A lot of use of triangles, pyramids, squares, circles, and antennas on cell phone towers, and also another kind of tower as well. So here we have a water tower. Water is said to hold memory like DNA. So I wonder what they're doing with all of those antennas and receivers on the tops of water towers. We have them in ours locally as well. They will say it is to test the weather, the wind, speeds, and the temperature of the air, but it seems to me there are other things going on there as well. Moving more into current times, away from cell phones, this is a CPU tower for a gaming computer called Alienware. They use a heck of a lot of power, very similar to D-Wave computers. Here we go with the outside of your basic D-Wave quantum computer. They are said to be needed to be kept at very low temperatures. They need to be kept cool because of the amount of power that they use. Here is the diagram of a D-Wave computer, and it shows you how it operates and works from a user device, client libraries, and how information flows from the D-Wave. Now, if you look to the left, you see the cryostat and the D-Wave QPU. Hold, please. This is the inside of a D-Wave computer. Now, if you take this and you lay it on its side, it should look very, very familiar to all of us, because it will look like this. And this looks like the LHC at CERN and other locations around the world. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but the basics are the same. They can alter space-time, even though that is not what CERN portrays or speaks about. If you do your own research and combine all these things that this LHC is capable of doing, bending and folding time seems to be theoretically possible. I'm starting to believe that myself as well. But you'll see this shape in a lot of other avenues too. So remember to keep your eyes open for shapes and symbols and the way things look and how they appear. It'll help you learn about them and process information better and make relations so that your brain better understands them. Now, the top of that also looks to me like these mazes that I've shown. That is actually the maze of Hecate is what it's called. The Labyrinth of Hecate. Hecate is a three-headed goddess for youth, the maiden, and the crone. Or you can look at them as the three sisters of fate, the one who pulls out the string, the other one who snips the string, and I think that, I forget what the third one does, but it's not important for the purpose of this video. It's just to get you to see how many things are so similar and where they originate and flow from. So keep that in the back of your mind. This is a spider and a spider web. The Hopi prophecies tell us that in the end days, a spider, a female spider, will come back and trap the whole world in her web. We're going to look at those deeper, so I don't want to give away the rest of the prophecy. But let's make another relation to modern times and this old prophecy, shall we? With the World Wide Web, we are all connected, which started at CERN, being helped to travel around the world through things like the LHC and transistors and receivers that transmit the signals to fly through the air. And who is the prince of the air, we are told, but Lucifer himself. So here you can see the web crisscrossing across the planes of the earth, but instead of being natural ley lines, these are frequencies that have been man-made, introduced to us, I believe, by the fallen, to, in essence, trap us. How has it trapped us? Well, I'm still investigating all of that. But it seems to me all of these old stories and tales and prophecies have a few things in common. We do have an enemy out there. There does seem to be a net around the world. And I think that we need to find our own way out. That is not to say that Christ is not the way, and that by removing sin, these things do not become easier to see. That is what I'm going through right now, a clearing of the vision, and it can be a shock to the system. So I ask you, looking at all this and knowing how the devil likes to trap souls in towers and spin them up and play with them like a spider in a web, where are we? What is this place? I don't think we're going to be saved in the way that we think we are. And I think that we need to do work to better our own selves. I'm sure that God would intervene if we asked him to, but I believe that some of this is our own doing. And because of the laws of consent and natural laws that have been broken, this is something that we have to figure out with the help of God, but we have responsibility and accountability here as well. So what do you think of all this? Was I able to relate these stories in a way that's easy to understand in today's world? Let's talk about it. I look forward to hearing what you have to say in the comments. God bless you and have a great day.